A beach wedding with only 5 attendees somehow fills countless fans with joy for the couple. From their initial meeting to the flutter of heartbeats that followed, they braved numerous hardships and finally regained their freedom. Under the witness of a priest and their close friends and family, Michael and Sara rightfully became husband and wife. Just as they were basking in the joy of their wedding, several police cars suddenly appeared. The arriving officers, ignoring pleas from the crowd, produced an arrest warrant and forcibly took the bride away. It turned out that, weeks earlier, Sara had shot and killed Christina to save Michael, an act that was unfortunately captured on surveillance footage. Since Christina's secret of work was impeccably covered, proving her employment by the company was impossible. Hence, Christina's legal team clung to the evidence, determined to tear the newlyweds apart. Under pressure, Paul's side had no choice but to compromise. Hearing Sara could be sentenced to 25 years ignited an impulsive urge in Michael to break her out. Upon her arrival at the prison, Sara immediately caught the attention of some troublemakers. But before they could act, the guards intervened. One guard kindly offered Sara a single cell, claiming it to be safer. Naive Sara followed, only to realize something was amiss upon arrival. Soon, several guards surrounded her, having been forewarned about Sara, because Sara had left a door open in the first season, aiding the escape of an 8-person group from Fox River State Penitentiary. Half of the prison guards lost their jobs. Thus, they planned to intimidate Sara first to prevent any incidents during her stay. Pregnant Sara fought back, fearing for her unborn child. Thankfully, they had the decency not to target her abdomen. After Sara emerged battered, a woman with glasses approached her. She was the prison's leader, known among inmates as Daddy. Daddy's followers were part of a family she had formed. Seeing Sara as talented, she wanted to recruit her to serve her purposes, but Sara firmly refused. However, all of this was observed by someone on the second floor, Gretchen, who had been previously wounded by a gunshot. Meanwhile, in the adjacent men's prison, Teabag was mingling with Krantz. Krantz reads in the newspaper that Sara is being held in a women's prison, and in order to get back at Michael for what he did to him, Krantz decides to buy Sara's life with the only $100,000 he has left in legal fees. Thus, Krantz tasked his lawyer Joe with the job. The bounty notice eventually reached Gretchen, who eyed the tempting reward and then the prey below. Beginning to formulate a plan, during mealtime, Gretchen warned Sara not to sit with Skitlas, saving her a spot across the table. Before they could exchange a few words, Sara felt poisoned by her food. As an internal medicine doctor, she knew she needed treatment quickly to save her unborn child. But the guards are deliberately making it difficult for Sara to go to the infirmary for treatment. The overbearing Daddy came over to speak up for Sara, allowing her to receive timely treatment. Thankfully, the child was also safe and sound. When the doctor inquired about her injuries, Sara, not wanting to cause trouble, claimed it was an accident. The detective handling Sara's case informed Michael, who immediately knew who was responsible. Michael promptly visited Krantz in the men's prison, pleading with him not to harm Sara and their child, saying he could come at him instead. But Krantz made his stance clear.
If you were killed, your pain would last a moment. If Sara were killed, your pain would last the rest of your life.
Hearing Krantz say this, Michael knew there was no point in further discussion. He hurried to find the warden, Alice, to request a transfer to another prison for Sara. But Alice, having long heard of Michael's reputation, stated she wouldn't let this prison become another Fox River State Penitentiary and promised that Sara would be treated fairly. At that moment, Michael's nose bled again. As Alice went to get him a tissue, he instinctively looked out the window, trying to spot any vulnerabilities in the prison. Michael returned and informed Lincoln and Sucre, deciding to start planning Sara's rescue. Through Michael's investigations, he learned that in the past 60 years, there had been 7 escape attempts from this prison, all ending in failure. To ensure success, Michael arranged for Lincoln and Sucre to gather information near the prison while he distracted the federal agent Todd monitoring them. Todd was the one who took Sara away at the wedding. He told Michael his job was to ensure Sara stayed in prison. Todd has been keeping an eye on Michael to prevent him from attempting a prison break. Meanwhile, in the prison, Sara was taken by a guard to a deserted corridor. Daddy once again offered her an olive branch, suggesting she take a job as an auto mechanic, which would be much safer than her current situation. Sara accepted Daddy's offer. Daddy's overprotectiveness of Sara caused jealousy in her wife and discontent among other family members. But Daddy quelled these disturbances. Daddy once again invited Sara to join her family, but Sara politely declined. While dumping waste oil, Sara suddenly spotted Lincoln outside the prison. Her instincts told her Michael must be planning her escape. Just as Sara was about to return, Gretchen stopped her. Gretchen had also seen Lincoln outside the prison and pressed Sara for his intentions. Before Gretchen could get an answer, Daddy came out. Even though Gretchen is a tough cookie, she's still staying away from Daddy here. To escape Gretchen's harassment, Sara decided to join Daddy's family. Daddy asked her men to take out a snake necklace, which is the badge of their family. Each member will be branded with loyalty. On the other hand, Mahone, now a free man, applied for reinstatement, but only Felicia voted in favor. Seeing this, Mahone got up to leave. Suddenly, the leader called Mahone back, stating if he could monitor Michael, provide crucial information, and prevent the imprisoned Sara from escaping, he could be reinstated. Faced with the condition of betraying his friend, the Honorable Mahone was unmoved. Then, the leader threw a detective badge on the table. Would Mahone be swayed by the sight of what he had longed for? Mahone quickly sought out Michael and his team, saying if he could monitor them, they agreed to reinstate him. Mahone was truly honest, even advising Michael to act quickly and offering his help if needed. With the measurements of the prison and Sara's work schedule and location provided by Lincoln and others, Michael quickly identified a vulnerability in the prison, due to the prison walls being widened during renovations and the camera positions remaining unchanged. The clever Mahone immediately understood Michael's plan. He intended for Sara to use the blind spots of the cameras to reach a specified location, then they would breach the outer wall to successfully rescue Sara. The next step was to inform Sara of the time and place. Since Sara was a high-priority inmate, the prison did not allow visits or phone calls. Just as everyone was puzzled, Michael pulled out a piece of paper. The scene shifts, and a letter filled with text is delivered into Alice's hands. After carefully verifying its contents, she orders her subordinates to pass it to Sara. Upon reading the letter, Sara instantly understands Michael's intentions. Relying on their years of unspoken understanding, Sara folds the letter into the shape of the paper flower Michael once gave her, indicating a meeting at the waste oil tank tomorrow at 7 p.m. On Gretchen's end, to deal with Sara's protector Daddy, Gretchen bribes the guards to frame Daddy with contraband found in her room, leading to Daddy's inevitable solitary confinement. At this moment, Gretchen reveals a sinister smirk from the second floor. Michael, meanwhile, receives a call from his lawyer, who has managed to secure a visiting opportunity for him to see Sara. Rushing to the prison, seeing his beautiful wife battered hurts him more than if the blows were landed on him. During their conversation, Michael confirms Sara has received his letter, greatly increasing the likelihood of their plan's success. Time with a loved one always feels too short. Watching Sara's departing figure, Michael vows to rescue her. However, just as Michael is about to leave the prison, he suddenly notices the security blind spot he found being repaired, leaving him dumbfounded. The carefully thought-out escape plan is thus thwarted, but to rescue his pregnant wife Sara, Michael has no choice but to plan another escape. After discussing with the others, Michael decides to enter the prison via parachute, but he needs someone's help. That someone is Teabag from the neighboring men's prison. Michael arranges for Lincoln to negotiate with Teabag, who only needs to press the fire alarm at 7:30 p.m. the next night to easily earn $5,000. However, the greedy Teabag scoffs at the amount, demanding a six-figure sum. At that time, Lincoln and the others simply don't have that kind of money, but the cunning Teabag has a way to make it. Teabag quietly tells Lincoln that the money Krantz offered for killing Sara is with his proxy lawyer, Joe. The rest is up to you. Transfer the money into my account before 7 p.m. tomorrow, and I'll pull the alarm for you, Teabag says, then struts off. Because Gretchen bribed the guards to frame Daddy, leading to her solitary confinement, Sara loses her protector. Gretchen finds Sara again, forcing her to plan an escape together or else no one gets out. Having discovered the note Michael gave to Sara, the lure of Krantz's bounty is tempting, but what is money compared to freedom? Meanwhile, Michael has already planned the detailed escape scheme, which he shares with Lincoln and Sucre. He will first land on the perimeter of the prison, then sneak into the chapel, as it is the only building connected to the administration building. During a riot, the guards will flee through the emergency exit of the administration building. There's a secret exit in that enclosure, which is where Lincoln and the others will rendezvous. Just then, Mahone returns from outside. Michael asks Mahone to find a small plane and instructs Lincoln and the others to secure Krantz's substantial funds, ensuring everyone's tasks are arranged before 7 p.m. Michael immediately visits Sara, as there's a change in plans, and he needs to inform Sara of his new plan, telling her to wait for him in the chapel. However, their conversation is undoubtedly being monitored. Michael can't speak openly and must use coded language to pass the message to Sara, but the agents and Alice outside the glass can't understand a word they're saying.
Pray for us tonight.
Pray for us.
You can pray for us to be together.
Meanwhile, Lincoln also heads to the men's prison to find Teabag. Needing his help to quickly locate Krantz's bounty, he seeks Teabag's assistance in gathering useful information. Teabag, eager to secure the substantial sum, devises a plan. He scribbles a note and then approaches Krantz. Krantz, thinking someone has already taken care of Sara and is coming to claim the bounty, writes down Joe's phone number. Teabag got the number with a sly grin on his face and passed it on to Lincoln. Tracking someone down becomes much easier with a phone number. Soon enough, Sucre finds Joe's home. After confirming his identity, Sucre employs his lockpicking skills, proving that locks are merely a formality to him. Joe, terrified, grabs his cash box and tries to flee, but as soon as he gets into his car, Lincoln, who has been waiting, catches him. When Krantz realizes he's been duped, Teabag, gloating, comes to boast. Meanwhile,
I just thought I'd let you know I came into some green.
Mahone has made contact with a plane. Mahone can't help but be curious when he sees Michael working on cards and stuff.
See, the prison was built in the mid-'80s. Those locks don't have power protection. A 1200-volt power surge will just set off the other alarms.
Mahone realizes that Michael is prepared for the worst in his effort to save Sara. Just then, his phone rings in his pocket. It's a call from Todd. Unbelievably, Mahone, hoping for a smooth reinstatement, had snitched about the security blind spot to Todd, allowing him to timely repair the prison's vulnerabilities. When Mahone brings up the matter of his reinstatement, Todd surprisingly demands that Mahone find evidence to arrest Michael before he can agree to reinstate him. Seeing through their despicable nature, Mahone doesn't provide crucial information this time. Mahone introduces Michael to the pilot and advises him to consider other methods as parachuting is too risky. But Michael, aware of his deteriorating condition and Sara's imminent danger, sees no other option. He then pulls out a CD and an envelope, asking Mahone to help him get Lincoln and Sara out of the country. Showing immense trust in the current Mahone, Mahone takes Michael to buy parachuting gear. Touched by Michael's trust, Mahone halts him, suggesting he has a better idea. Meanwhile, in the prison, inmates greedily eye Sara, still coveting the $100,000 bounty. Daddy's subordinates make the first move, but the highly skilled Gretchen appears and quickly knocks them out. Upon hearing her family member has been killed, Daddy vows revenge once she's out. Gretchen took out the pendant with her daughter's name on it and said she went out for her daughter. Seeing Gretchen's past help and considering her own impending motherhood, Sara decides to escape with Gretchen. After all, she needs Gretchen's help as Daddy's people are already eyeing her. At dinner time, Sara and Gretchen prepare to act, but unfortunately, Daddy, who had been in solitary, is released. The two quietly plan for Gretchen to take care of the guards while Sara deals with Daddy and her crew. Sara doesn't go to fight but explains to Daddy she acted in self-defense, which Daddy refuses to listen to. Sara pushes Daddy into Skitlas, revealing Skitlas as the real boss of the prison, instantly deflating the usually dominant Daddy. In the chaos, Gretchen attacks the guards, quickly taking them down but getting stabbed in the process. Then Gretchen knocks a guard unconscious, and Sara seizes the moment to take the keys. Meanwhile, Michael and his team have arrived at the airport. Mahone deliberately calls Todd, saying Michael is planning to parachute onto the prison yard. Hearing this, Todd immediately informs Alice and arranges for all guards to ambush the yard and turn off all lights. Waiting for Michael's arrival, Todd arrived at the playground in time, but he didn't realize that he had been set up. As soon as Michael lands, the guards immediately attack, but upon inspection, they discover it's just a dummy. Michael had already taken the opportunity to hide under a car and then sneak into the church. By this time, Sara and Gretchen had quietly arrived at the church door. As Sara is finding the keys to open the door, Gretchen suddenly gets spotted by a guard. When asked if there were any accomplices, Gretchen doesn't betray Sara. Sara has already sneaked into the church by then, and after the guards take Gretchen away, Sara quietly picks up the pendant Gretchen intended for her daughter. Just then, Michael appears, and without time for words, they hurry off. Mahone and Lincoln are waiting outside for them, while Sucre rushes to the bank to transfer money, only to find it closed. Teabag sees that the time has come and calls to check his account balance, but there is no change in the balance after checking several times. Michael and Sara reach the emergency exit of the administration building, everything ready except for Teabag's role. Not receiving the money, Teabag doesn't hesitate to betray Michael, claiming he was asked to sound the fire alarm for an escape. Hearing this, Todd orders the prison's fire alarm system shut down, which is exactly what Michael wanted, exploiting Teabag's tendency to snitch rather than the alarm itself. Michael puts his musket to the lock and opens the door without any problems. Continuing as planned, they reach the last door. Michael tries an electronic card, but it fails. Fortunately, Michael has one last trick, cutting off the building's power supply for a few seconds before forcefully reconnecting it. The strong electric current can break the electronic lock. Sara must take this opportunity to escape, but reconnecting the power could cause an explosion, putting the person doing so at great risk. Despite Sara's pleas, they have no other choice. Michael caresses his child, and after a brief kiss, Sara leaves with tears in her eyes. Unable to bear parting, Michael pulls down the cable and reconnects it. A strong electric current runs through his hands and sparks fly. The last door opens smoothly, and Sara looks back reluctantly, then runs outside with tears streaming down her face. Lincoln asked her where Michael had gone and Sara didn't know how to answer. At this time Lincoln had a bad feeling. He looked at the door of the prison how much he hoped that a miracle would happen. Only Mahone knows Michael's plan. Mahone urges Lincoln that it's not wise to linger, and reluctantly, the group gets into the car and leaves. Teabag, outsmarted, not only misses the $100,000 but also gets thrown into solitary as an accomplice for conveying wrong information. Outsmarted by Michael again. On the way back, everyone is silent. Mahone hands Sara the items Michael left behind. A medical report shows Michael's tumor had worsened. At the docks, Sucre gives Sara the money from Kranz's bounty. After bidding farewell, Sara and Lincoln board a yacht to leave the country. They watch a video Michael left, his final goodbye to them.
Well, if you're watching this, I'm glad. And that's all I ever wanted. Because it means you're safe. And Link, I want you to promise me, no matter what, they're gonna grow up knowing their uncle is never far away. So now, plainly, simply, I want to say that I love you both. We're free.